And here we go with a 185-mile follow-up review for the Mount DeCoste H1. All right, everybody. So I have worn the Mount DeCoste H1s for, several weeks now in all scenarios, right? Running, walking, working, standing, doing all my dad chores, running around in all kinds of conditions that, we can think of. So we got sunny, we got dry, we got wet, we got icy, we got snowy, and so we can go through each one of those scenarios here with this shoe. Okay, so probably gonna get some more miles on this thing, man. This is like, to say it's built like a tank would be, not great, because that makes you think that it's all clunky and everything. That is quite the opposite with this shoe, but it's not all rainbows and Skittles over here, guys. So let's check it out. So, how is it doing, right? So, my original full review talked about how bouncy and lively and just like overall just, I've heard it called a one quiver shoe, a very good all-arounder for, various surfaces and everything. And it does those things very well. What's exciting for me is the Circle Cell midsole back then and still now. So how has it gone? Well, the Circle Cell, like PIBA, like very nitrogen infused, recycled material, organic waste, low carbon footprint type foam is holding up extremely well. Actually, it still has so much life to it. It has so much energy to it. It's a wonderful foam. And for the past few weeks, it's been a majority working and walking. So I feel like those scenarios are a little bit different than just like pure running. But there is some running mixed in there, but overall majority walking. This thing does so good as far as energy and reduction of foot fatigue, and just overall keeping its shape and keeping its spring and keeping its balance without being overly squishy. In fact, I would consider this more of a firmer foam, but at the same time, it receives impact well. It distributes that energy and it gives it back without, an over excessive amount of sag or any of that stuff going on. As the foot kind of goes throughout its day, the foam continues to be resilient. So that's super fun. The other thing that I will say is the upper of the shoe. The upper of the shoe, it does feel like it has kind of stretched out a little bit over time. I do notice that there is a little bit more movement in the lateral kind of distal third of the shoe as it goes along here. Now that could be me. It could just be as time goes on here. But I do notice a considerable addition of movement of my foot where I didn't notice that before. And given that I'm doing kind of a longer term review here, I am kind of listening and looking for certain things. And so that's something that I've noticed over the past couple of weeks here, like 2 weeks here. So, interesting, it's not like a huge ding on the shoe. It's just, could be just part of the breaking in process. It could be my foot. It could be the shoe. There's a bunch of things there. But the material, it was never constrictive, like at all. In fact, I would consider this one of the better toe boxes and roomier toe boxes of what's out there these days. And so it's never been, not roomy, right? But it's got a little bit more kind of that stuff going on. So that said, what does the person do? Well, tighten it up throughout the day, given that it's a work shoe scenario type thing. I'm not like, cranking down the laces like I'm going for, a big type run. That's different, right? So lacing it up to like a comfortable level for those scenarios, didn't completely fix it, but in that, having the laces up top here a little bit tighter, has resulted in, and I wouldn't consider them tight, but just a little bit more to try to reduce that play is what I'm getting at. I do notice that there is a little bit of kind of pressure that goes on towards my foot, kind of at the upper here where it meets the ankle right here. That is kind of a new thing. Now I will say that I am wearing this shoe a majority of the time. I just finished my review of the Ultra Via 2, so I was running in that as well. But as far as percentage of time, that's very minimal overall. So I'm noticing like a little bit more kind of pressure going on here. So one other thing I just thought about, so, you know, is there a difference between like the lacing, the upper, as far as like where the lace 1, you know, ends and then lace 2 begins? You know, is there like, you know, some kind of like diastasis or separation happening here? You know, I'm not noting like a big like disunification of the upper here. So I don't think that the tune fit has anything to do with kind of that sensation that I'm describing there. You know, so something I thought about, you know, there is a difference obviously in the eyelet chain and that. So there could be, you know, just a conicalness, I guess, here to it. But you know, over time things have been fine, but you know, just recently are having that. So perhaps some adjusting in the tune fit could you know, help that out. So I realize that I'm doing this kind of review for this running shoe, you know, and so because I'm not specifically just purely running in it and giving this longer term review, that's I would imagine, you know, is a little bit different. But that said, I do want to, you know, test shoes in the way that I'm doing to understand the generalities of the shoe and something that maybe didn't pop up in the original, like running specific type reviews is kind of what I'm getting at. Okie dokie. And so it's not, it's something that I would imagine that trying a different shoe for a little bit of a time to kind of let that area of the foot relax, because I thought it was maybe just a one-time deal, but it kind of has been consistent especially over the past week. You know, and it's not super duper comfortable. All right. And let's see, but as far as other really, really great things about the shoe, like the heel area, there's zero slippage. It's super duper comfortable. But at the same time, I have noticed that, you know, in certain periods, it's almost like this area of the heel counter right here does kind of like push up into kind of that, you know, you got your Achilles right here, and this is just kind of, you know, just gently pushing to the point that I did notice it was a little bit uncomfortable the other day. We went to a Christmas play, and we had been walking around the cities a bunch, and I was wearing this guy here, and just kind of noticed that. So just some interesting stuff picking up over time here. So excellent traction. Let's remind ourselves, this is called Versa Grip. And the H1 is considered a hybrid shoe. It's designed to be kind of your all-arounder, all surfaces, trail and road. But we will say that this thing does so good on the snow, you know, on the wet surfaces. It is very reliable as far as traction goes. So, you know, there's multiple scenarios, and I'm sure you guys can guess too, where you're going from like wet environment into like an indoor area where there's like a slick, you know, tile surface or whatever it is. And, you know, if you're in a shoe that the traction just doesn't work out, that could be like a slip hazard, right? You know, and I look for that, you know, in any shoe that I know has not been in that scenario before. But this thing has done so well in that it's actually more grippy whenever it's wet and it enters those environments. So that's fun. That's just the rain type stuff. But as far as like snow on sidewalks, yesterday we had a dusting and we were going along there, and I was kind of wondering because I saw like a you know, compacted snow with fresh snow on top, and there's definitely ice in there. So I kind of just gingerly put my foot on there because I've fallen before. And this thing bit right into kind of that fresh layer and had no problem whatsoever. And then as I'm going along in like what I would consider testing like manner, to try to like push off on some of these snow patches and everything. And it was very, very, very nice. Now, nothing's going to perform as well as, you know, if you had like specific like tungsten carbide spikes, you know, and that sort of traction stuff. But that's not what this is. This is like straight out of the box type traction, the rubber here, and it does really well, actually. Would I put this on Glare Ice? No, not at all. That's a different story, and that's not what we're doing. I'm not going to do that with any of my shoes. That's a traction aid type thing, which, you know, stay tuned. I'm thinking about doing like a review specifically on ice traction. Okay, so the shoe is still going extremely strong. It's a conversation starter. People have been asking about it, and I'm happy to talk to them about it, you know, within reason. I can't, you know, go on a tangent all the time. That's what YouTube is for, right? All right. And so it's been super cool. You know, I'm sure it cleans up well, but you know, I will be honest, I don't take a ton of time cleaning up my shoes. That's just the honest truth right there. Okie dokie. So let's think about the insert. Is the insert like kind of compressed down at all? Not really, guys. I mean, just like kind of where my first big MTP you know, bone there is. It's not a big problem at all. It's not compressed. It's still got a ton of life left in it. I'm seeing these shoes go up to 300, 400, probably 500 miles here. This is Circle Cell, and I see that Circle Cell is being used in their C1 that's coming out. I believe it's the C1 that's coming up. Saw that their TRE. So Mount Decos, just dropping bangers, guys. Bangerama, okay? So just full transparency, Mount Decos did send me this shoe several months ago. So that's what's up. But you know, I'm gonna give you my honest take on all the things here. So very lightweight shoe. It's still a super duper lightweight shoe. It's hard to believe that this shoe, as bulky as it is like under 8 ounces in the men's size 9. Probably not the case with my men's size 11, but I digress. Super cool. I will continue to test it. I'm going to give it a rest because of that, like, you know, top area there. But again, you know, I've been wearing this like thing like consistently for hours and hours and hours and miles and miles and miles. But it still's got a ton of life left. All right, that's what I got. So I will drop the link for this shoe down in the description if you guys are interested in that. So that's all I got. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. We'll catch you in the next one.